When Netanyahu was finished, he stood up and exited the room before President Clinton had a chance to say a single word. This prompted the president to turn to his advisors with a puzzled face and famously say, "Who the does he think he is? Who's the superpower here?" The story is important for context because here we are, 28 years later, and Benjamin Netanyahu is still bossing around and lecturing US presidents on how the Middle East should function. Of course, the easiest option would be for the Biden administration to give pressure to Israel and force them to open up the land border crossing. But it's become abundantly clear by now, the US has very little leverage over Israel. Once again, it is with US weapons and the tax dollars of hardworking US citizens like myself that is prosecuting this war. And it absolutely outrages me that our president and frankly, everybody in Congress doesn't have the balls to stand up to Israel and tell them to do what is morally and ethically correct. Another massive problem for the United States is that they are now in direct violation of its own law by participating in this effort to starve the people of Gaza to death. Under the Foreign Assistance Act, it is illegal for the US government to provide weapons to foreign countries who will use those weapons to commit grave human rights violations. It's also against the Foreign Assistance Act for the US government to provide weapons to countries who are blocking the passage of US humanitarian assistance. Wow. Grave human rights abuses? Check. Blocking US humanitarian assistance? Check. Israel is 2 for 2, as the US continues to violate its own laws, which were put in place after previously US military failures like the war in Iraq and Afghanistan killed millions of lives. And this blind support of Israel makes America look completely impotent since we are not using the tools at our disposal for ending this war. I mean, how simple would it be for Biden to tell Netanyahu, "You will not use any more American weapons in this war, and we will not protect you from the consequences of your actions in the UN, International Court of Justice, or any international forum." Doing so would not be anti-Semitic. It's called being a rational person with morals, and it's also how international law works. The US wants to put Vladimir Putin on trial for war crimes against the people of Ukraine. But how could they possibly pursue this when the US is not only supporting their friend Netanyahu to commit war crimes, but also giving him the weapons to do so? But thankfully, there is some hope. Last week, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who by the way is the highest ranking Jewish official in the United States, stated, "Netanyahu has lost his way, and Israel should hold new elections as Netanyahu is an obstacle for peace in the Middle East." As you can imagine, these comments went viral, and no doubt were an effort by Schumer to appease the younger voters in America who are tired of watching this brutal war unfold in Gaza. Remember what I said at the beginning of this video. If the Democrats don't make a drastic change in their approach to Israel, it could very well cost them the election and hand power right over to Donald Trump this November. But it goes beyond just the Democrats winning the important 2024 election. Schumer confessed he spent 2 months writing and polishing the words of the speech and thought meticulously over how to deliver these important words. Of course, it comes as no surprise that Netanyahu immediately condemned Schumer's words and fought back against the United States. But ultimately, Schumer revealed why he decided to criticize Netanyahu, and that is because he wanted to save the future of Israel. But now, it's also time to save the future of the United States. I don't believe Donald Trump is the change we need to see in America, but if Joe Biden won't take a stand and push back against Israel before it's too late, then it really won't matter who wins the presidency this November, because Netanyahu will march confidently back into the White House, and this time will be the one stating, "Do you want to know who the superpower is?"